This is a good hockey team. I'm going to say it now.
Say it.
This is
Book
the
it.
opposite of what we saw last year with their 12-4 start. There's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. There were some holes. They got some timely goals. They got some good, decent enough goaltending anyway last year. This year, everything, and this is the chances that they got, particularly last night against Edmonton, against a very good team, a perennial cup contender in Edmonton,
Correct.
with two of the best players in the world.
What's up, hockey fans? We've got another episode of Up in the Blue Seats for you today, your favorite Rangers podcast from the New York Post. As always, it's Mollie Walker, joined by Rangers favorite Brian Boyle, and we've got plenty of games to get into today. Rangers are 2-3 to start the season, but they've been shut out in three of those five games, all at home, making them the only team in NHL history to go scoreless through their first three games at home to start a season. Last team to do some variation of that was the now defunct Pittsburgh Pirates in 1928-29. That game went 187 minutes because it went into overtime, but the Rangers are currently at 180 minutes of scoreless hockey at MSG. These games, though, Brian, I mean, aside from the offense and the season opener, the last two, the Rangers really haven't looked that bad, though, no?
No, they haven't. The first season opener was a dud.
Yeah.
So is what it is. There's a lot of
That aside,
emotion. Yeah, we'll put that on the back burner for a sec. Listen, this is a good hockey team. I'm going to say it now.
say it,
This is
book
the
it.
opposite of what we saw last year with their 12-4 start. There's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. There were some holes. They got some timely goals. They got some good, decent enough goaltending anyway last year. This year, everything, and this is the chances that they got, particularly last night against Edmonton, against a very good team, a perennial cup contender in Edmonton,
Correct.
with two of the best players in the world. The chances they got were based on, or was from execution of their structure. They played a patient game, and then when they had the puck, they were direct. I
Hmm.
thought everyone contributed. I thought, you want to get a goal every 3 or 4 games from your fourth line. That line could have had three or four.
Edstrom
And
alone could have
yeah,
had three or four.
he had a numerous amount of chances. The Carrick hit a post. He had another great A in the first period.
Hmm.
And it all was off of their structure. So that's what I think will translate. They have to stay the course. You cannot cheat the game for offense because then it'll look like it looked last year. So I really
Hmm.
like, we will get into it, but I really like, what their top guys are doing to get chances. There are some guys that need a little kick in the pants. I think if that happens, this is a scary team in a weak, honestly, a weak division. So like even because the Washington game, Washington just played a Tampa team where, they kind of pushed back and got a big win against Tampa. Washington's a good team. People kind of overlook them
Hmm.
every year. They smoke and mirrors. No, they're a good team. They got enough.
Yeah.
They got goal in that game, and then Stuart Skinner was. Which one's a good one? Dr. Jekyll, right? He was Dr. Jekyll last night. I,
Which one?
and he does that feast or famine act, and it was feasting for Edmonton last night with Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, and they limited Edmonton as a whole to three high danger chances. I think defensively, it's night and day from
Yeah.
last season. There is a total buy-in on the defensive system, 100%. And I mean, when you think about it, what have they given up? 6 goals in total? Four have come with an actual goalie in net.
Yeah. It's incredible.
So yeah, like that alone is very encouraging from a defensive standpoint. But I
Yeah.
wrote about this for my column after the Edmonton game. For a team that has historically had such strong starts in the first year under a new coach, I don't think that growing pains at the beginning of this season could be the worst thing in the world because I believe Mike Sullivan is here to build something that's going to last, a
Mhm.
foundation that they
Yep.
can actually build upon that is going to stay in place and not going to be flimsy and movable. And That's what the Rangers wanted when they brought in Mike Sullivan.
Yeah.
They don't want to do this whole, new coaching staff every 2 years. Who the hell does? They ideally want to build something that's going to go the distance, not just to the Stanley Cup final this June, but season after season after season, perennial contenders. That is the goal for everybody. And the last two coaching staffs were not able to build a foundation that could withstand all the things that the Rangers went through when it all collapsed at the end of year two and all
Right.
each of the last two coaching staffs.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. And it's not just on the ice. I think it's in the room and how they approach everything. And that's why I'm still not worried. And I'm not worried that they
100%.
might cheat the game. I think because just how Sully operates. And we talked about this in the preseason. Like they win three, four, five in a row, or they lose a couple in a row, or this happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Sullivan's going to walk into the room today. Okay, this is what we did well. This is what we didn't do well. This is a good play. This is where we can clean some things up. It's the same message every single time, which I always really appreciated. And, in a hot market like New York, that is paramount. And if you
Mm-hmm.
want to, if Rangers fans want another little nugget to chew on that could get you to sleep tonight, like go look at how Mike Sullivan started in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he was 0-4. And they hoisted that year. So this is, and the following season. Now,
Mm-hmm.
people can say, well, then what? And yeah, they made the playoffs every year and didn't have a ton of success after, but it's hard in the cap system when you win to keep all your players. So I think he'll get them back to what they'll be feeling good. There's too much talent not to score. And the other side of it is, you want longevity and have, perennial success in terms of getting into the playoffs and being a team to reckon with. Have great structure and have an all-world goalie. Because even days you don't have perfect legs or you're a little tired or you're playing 3 and 4 nights on the road, which happens, and they're going to run into that, especially in an Olympic season. You got probably the best goalie in the world behind you. And if there's structure in front of him where he can read plays and know where breakdowns are, he's going to get even better.
Mm-hmm.
You could be looking at, a Connor Hellebuck type regular season from Igor, which is really, really exciting because
Yeah.
he can make those stops and he can play the puck and he can help. Like especially with a banged up D, he can alleviate some of that issues and they're not in their end because they play
Mm-hmm.
defense in all three zones because that's what defense is. When you don't have the puck, where are you? You're in the right spots and they were last night. And that's how they got so many chances offensively.
Mm-hmm. I mean, going back to what you said about, building foundationally off the ice as well, I think we're already seeing that too. I mean, JT Miller talking about let's not blow this out of
Yeah.
proportion here, which is exactly the kind of message you want to hear from your captain. And he's so like that, just a little dismissive of, we like the way that we're playing, forget about, the scoreboard. It's about, yeah, and that's a message that Sullivan has also maintained as well. There's been a lot of talk about the process, a lot of
Yeah.
talk about how they take these losses, how they move on from them. Even Mika Zibanejad saying, I don't know whether I should laugh or cry. I was so happy to hear that perspective on the whole thing because I mean, what kind of mental challenge is it, from a player's perspective to start the season with that kind of historical stat hanging over your head?
Yeah. Listen, I've gone long stretches without goals and it's really, really difficult because if you could pinpoint why, or like what could I change? You just start polluting your brain with so many different ideas and you
Right.
never really stick to one. And when you're dialed in as a player, it's almost like just being naive or you know just ignorant to everything else going around you. You're solely focused. And people talk about being in the zone and they can't really explain it. It's just you're almost like dumb to everything else. You just I go out, play, it works out. And then when it's not going great, or you can't finish, it's just you're thinking of everything. I remember I used to go on a stretch and I'd watch my own goals from years before, being like, okay, that's me doing it. I know I can
You
do it. I've done it before. Not that I wasn't a
just
huge
need a
goal scorer.
reminder.
Yeah, like, oh, geez, I'm getting these chances. Usually they go in. What's going on?
Hmm.
And you could see last night, like someone throws a stick on the side, it hits their stick on a Mika chance, and it just kind of dribbles wide.
Mm.
That's going to even itself out. I mean, JT Miller, he was in, comparatively speaking, he was in a war zone last year compared to this. No offense to the New York media, you guys are you're demanding, and it's great, and that's why people care and watch.
Hmm.
Vancouver is a little bit different in terms of rational or irrational,
Hmm.
and the fans clamor for it, so the media provides it, and that's part of playing in Vancouver. So it's a little different. He's still going to get all the questions and all the media attention, but
Hmm.
I think JT Miller's conditioned to handle it, as I do with the rest of this team after going through last year. Is there any positive from last year? Let's just forget that season. Yeah, okay, but I think they're hardened now to
Hmm.
handle something like this, where it's like we're fine, like we're playing well.
Yeah.
It's gonna go in.
Yeah.
Demand it from each other. Like we're not just gonna pretend it's not happening. We're 2-3, and you are what your record says you are, but they're not 0-5.
No,
And that's believe it or not, a bigger hole, like a way bigger hole
it is.
than 2-3.
And how many, 10 goals on the road? It's not
Yeah.
like, I know, I mean, the
Hey,
Pittsburgh
Rangers
game.
fans, the players hate your guts. They're never going to score in front of you. They're
Yeah,
proving a point.
that's what it is. No, I mean, offensively on the road, they were fine.
Right.
So I think it's just a matter of time, just a little snake bitten at home, I think. And obviously, I mean, Charlie Lindgren was outrageous
Yeah.
in that Capitals game. He clearly still has taken his brother's departure from New York a little personally.
It's like, get over it, man. That one
Hey,
in.
we were saying before we got on here, whatever fuels you,
Right.
whatever fuels you, and you know what? It fueled him tenfold.
Yeah.
He was outrageous, and sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the other goalie on the other end of the ice. So
A save on
there was,
Mika.
I know, top 10. I mean,
Unreal.
arguably one of the season so far. So um, yeah, that was outrageous, and we'll probably get into a little bit more of that. But we do have a bit of a injury report to get to.
News.
So
News
news,
time.
new news, as they say.
Yeah. New news. It's not
um,
great.
all right, so Vincent Trocheck sustained an upper body injury in Buffalo and is considered week to week, but he was just put on LTIR today.
Yeah.
So that's a bigger loss than initially expected. I mean, what kind of loss is that for the Rangers, Brian?
So, the power play, I know they're kind of tinkering with that and putting different guys in, but he won so many draws on that power play. He
Yeah,
can do a number of different things. He's so important to that team in every single aspect of the game. Penalty kill, the power play, 5-on-5, you can drive offense. Just kind of slots everybody in great spots. But, it's an opportunity to get some more reps early in the season for some other guys. Noah Laba comes to mind. It's yeah, it's difficult because I believe it's like ten games and 24 days is the amount of time he is required to miss if you want any relief on the LTIR, which they're going to have because that's not the only thing that's nagging the Rangers right now.
yeah. Um, Sticking with Trocheck, though, Sullivan puts in Parsonen at first and then switches to Brodzinski the last two games, but kind of makes sense. I think Parsonen didn't really show much during the
Yeah.
preseason, and I think Sullivan has a penchant for a more stronger presence down just in the on the third line and in the lineup in general. And I don't think Parsonen brings that for him.
Yeah, he needs to be more. So I did the preseason game in Boston. We talked about that, but it just was I don't want to say timid, but you have to be more
Yeah.
engaging and really sort
Hmm.
of mix it up. It's not about plays with the puck when you're not in a top six role. It's go get some energy and get into somebody's jersey, create that way. He's a bigger guy than
Yeah.
I even thought he was, but it's you got to play to your size. And Brodzinski plays above his size.
Yes.
I think Brodzinski's proven himself, I think, a number of different times. And
A
it's
number
still
of
kind
different
of
coaching staffs.
And it's still kind of like, all right, you're going to start the year as like the 13th or 14th guy. So, and credit to him for just he doesn't, he seems like a humble guy that's just going to go to work.
He is.
And guys rally around that. He doesn't expect, even if he deserves it. It's just he proves himself every day. You need guys like that as well. And sometimes watching a little longer than you think you should be, hopefully starts a little fire in your belly where you can come out and be, because Parsons shown flashes. He's shown flashes in Nashville. There's a player there, a smart enough player there where you need just if you have a tiny bit more attitude,
Mhm.
he could be part of some solutions in the bottom six, but there's bottom six been pretty good.
Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
to
No,
kind of
yeah, it's hard to argue. And I think Brodzinski looked a lot stronger
yeah.
just in that role. And to your point, Brodzinski has been such a phenomenal soldier for the Rangers over
Yeah.
these years. He has continuously stepped into this role and, like you said, never asks for anything. The guys in that room adore him. He's a great presence, locker room guy. And you know what you're going to get out of Johnny Brodzinski
Yep.
every night. It's the same thing. So a little bit more of a reliable option there. So it makes sense. But yeah, you're right. We've got a few more injuries. Carson Soucy got hurt in Pittsburgh, another upper body injury. He crashed into the boards pretty awkwardly in the
Yeah.
second period while going in for a hit. And he left that game and he never came back. The Rangers put him on injured reserve pretty quickly after that. So he's out at least a week retroactive to that second Penguins game, I believe. And Matthew Robertson gets the call.
Yeah.
Even if the Rangers wanted to call Scott Morrow up at the time, I don't believe that they could have because of cap restraints. But now that Trocheck is on LTIR, they were able to recall Scott Morrow. But it sounds like it's more so out of precaution for Will Borgen, who is also not practicing today due to a lower body injury. But they're not exactly ruling him out for this road trip in Toronto and Montreal. So still a possibility that he's good to go. But we were just saying before we came on here with the customs and going on the road, you got to make
Yeah.
sure that you've got an extra player in tow just in case. What did you make of Robertson in his couple of games?
I want him to have success, and there's sort of an adrenaline when you get called up where you kind of freewheeling, and you should feel that way when you've played several years pro without much of a sniff.
Hmm.
It's like at that point, hey, let's just play my game because I've been waiting a
Yeah.
long time for this. So I'm rooting for him. I like a lot of what he can do, what he brings.
Hmm.
If again, it's just like, when you get called up, you want to be reliable. You want it's the hardest thing to do. You got to earn the coach's trust, and you never know how a game's going to go. But if you're up a goal or you have a great start to a game, is he worried about putting you on the ice to for that? What do we say? The other shoe to drop. I think that was your term for it.
Yeah,
Like,
that was my turn.
and you can't think that way. You just have to earn
Yeah.
his trust and do the things that you know. He played a lot of hockey. He played a lot of pro hockey at this point now.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with him. I like what he
Yeah.
brings.
Yeah.
There's some
No,
juice to him.
yeah, no, he hasn't looked out of place
Right.
through his game so far, which I think is a really encouraging sign, and especially last night against Edmonton. That was, first of all, it was his hometown team. Very cool thing for him to
Yeah.
do. Um, so you can imagine the nerves there too, as well. But he was solid. He was solid. And that was going to be far and away his biggest test, obviously, because the
Yeah.
Oilers are far and away the best team the Rangers have faced so far. Um, but he's such an interesting case because he's a higher second round draft pick, never really amounted to what the Rangers thought he could. He got his first two NHL games, made his debut at the end of last season, only after the Rangers were eliminated, because I can imagine from management perspective, it's kind of like, why not? Let's see
Throw him a
what
bone.
he looks like. And I also think it was somewhat out of anticipation of Zach Jones not coming back this season because we knew that they were going to need to fill in that 7D role. And so Matthew Robertson gets to make the opening night roster at a training camp for the first time in his career. So very cool for Matthew Robertson. And, he could stick for a little bit here, depending on how long Carson Soucy is out, and now Will Borgen is a question. So we could see a lineup that includes both Matthew Robertson and Scott Morrow in Toronto um, on
Hey, that's
Friday
fun.
or tomorrow,
That's
Thursday.
fun.
Yeah, of
Like,
course it's fun.
but here's the thing, like you're a call up and you're playing with a team that now has good structure. It's less freewheeling. Mike Sullivan's got them in all three zones playing with structure. You don't have any idea how much easier that is to understand your check, your positioning, good communication, although players talk less and less as years go by on the ice. Yeah, and then yeah, you're right. Like not only is he an Edmonton kid, he played for the Oil Kings for like 15 years, it
Yeah.
looks like, because all the COVID stuff.
Hmm.
He started young, but
Yep.
it's it's your moment. He's not 30,
No.
right? And he's a big boy. So I would give him a leash, especially
Yeah.
with the injuries.
Hmm.
And don't, wait for him to make a mistake. It's gonna he's I
I
like the
don't.
coaching staff. I like what no, I'm saying for the coaching staff, don't like, hey, at home is different than on the road. It'll be interesting to see against the Toronto team. He's playing against, I mean, that's a good looking team. Watching them last night.
Hmm.
They might give up some, but they had their third string goalie in. Um, that's a good hockey team. That would be certainly a crazy test because they're on the road and your matchups, you might be on over the boards, you get caught out and then 34's line comes out. It's just more information, more reps. Hopefully he
Yeah.
just keeps confident.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great opportunity for him, and one that he has definitely very patiently waited for all these years. So
Yeah.
very interesting how that kind of came to fruition. Um, on an even more positive note, I feel like we have to address that Adam Fox is off to an incredibly
Yeah.
strong start to the season. I mean, 4 points in 5 games, 3 goals. I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but I feel like he had 3 goals through the first like 25, 30 games of last season. So,
I honestly think it was more, and I think his first
yeah,
goal was an empty netter.
yes, it
He
was.
would not shoot on the power play the first half of the season. This year he's shooting. I don't know, we can get into the power play because it obviously haven't scored at home, but it looks they should have.
Yes,
It's going to go in if they continue to move it around like they were, and it's a big reason is because he's establishing shot early, and it just causes more chaos. And then you have weapons, and yeah, he looks back to old form, especially on that power play. And what's more impressive is his partner hasn't quite gotten his footing yet, and he's still performing. Adam Fox is still performing at a level that I think everyone, including himself, expects.
yeah. What is your evaluation of the Fox Gavrikov pairing so far? Because even Mike Sullivan said he feels like it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think it's fair. And you sign a 7-year deal and you come over to play in a different system. I don't think Gavrikov has played with a player like Adam Fox, and not many guys have. I think
Right.
Adam Fox such a unique sort of player. Um, that is going to take time. There are moments in preseason where he looked great and he looked fine. I think when the real games start, and competition notwithstanding, just the fact that it means something. It can get into your head a little bit if you're not quite comfortable. Like he didn't forget how to skate, but he does look a little slow to make decisions. And when you're slow to make decisions, you look slow. So he needs more reps. He needs to see sort of how the game's developing a little bit better and not beat himself up too much because again, that's a slippery slope down. Talk about athletes' confidence.
Hmm.
Man, it's it's like a disease. It gets into you and tells you all these things that you can't do things, and he can. He's a good player. He's done it for a long time. It's an adjustment, and it's a
Hmm.
unique player he's playing with. Simplify, play physical, make your reads, and do whatever you're going to do. Do it hard. Don't try to play perfect because hockey's not a perfect game by any means. Look at the goal
Yeah.
against last night.
Hmm.
Things
I
happen.
it does. I think the thing that I want to see from Gavrikov a little bit more is holding the zone a little bit better. I feel like he's
Yeah.
let the puck trail by him one too many times when he should have been able to have at least kept it in the zone. So that was That was my biggest quarrel, so to say, through his first 5 games as a
Yeah.
Ranger. But it's early, and I do think that Sullivan's system is so detailed and specific. Like, I feel like one of the biggest things that we saw in that season opener was it looked like they were thinking through the system too much, and it
Yeah.
made them look so much slower and just not, assertive at all. Um, so I'd like to see that him settle into that a little bit more.
It takes more than a camp to,
Of course.
you know what I mean? It's collectively how many guys have sort of picked up on, especially the forwards. I mean, their spacing, how they forecheck, the patience when they have to be patient. They're not getting one passes and beating three guys for an odd man rush. Remember the odd man rushes last year? Holy smokes.
There's been like negative.
Right.
Like
And you're
they've been
playing,
right there.
yeah, you're playing like Connor McDavid had an individual effort in the second period with a backhand from outside the hash marks that went high. And I was like, well, that could have been dangerous, but that's the best player I've ever seen in my life. And that's all you're giving them. I think we're doing okay. They kept
Exactly.
him above. He
Hmm.
didn't really get through. Um, I was really, really impressed. And a lot of that was the forwards just being in the right spots because that's how you have to defend with forwards. The D,
Hmm.
of course, and you have to have great sticks and all that. But I'm impressed with how quickly they've grasped the concept and realized how beneficial it is offensively if you're in those spots in the right places.
And I thought the Miller line did really, really well against the McDavid line.
I thought JT Miller, particularly low in the D zone, on a few occasions. I mean, looked like a Selke candidate. His stick,
Yeah.
he killed plays and started breakouts. I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah. No, I think aside from that first game where it was pretty clear that JT was still laboring a little bit from
Yeah.
whatever injury he's suffered in preseason, since then he's been pretty good, pretty
Yeah,
solid.
he's not gonna miss the home opener, the seat on his
Right.
chest and coming out and like try and get that guy not to play in that game. So maybe he was still a little banged up, but the farm
Yeah.
boy over there from Pittsburgh he's a tough kid and he's a proud guy. So he's gonna
Yeah.
play, and that goes a long way with the rest of the group.
Yeah. No, 100%. It was good. Maybe one more guy that we should probably talk about, Artemi Panarin. I spoke to him after last game, the Oilers game, and he admitted to me that the first few games were really difficult for him.
Yeah.
He also was hurt in preseason, two different injuries apparently, a lower body and an upper body. But he's just looked a little not engaged to start, which is obviously not what you want to see. But again, it's only 5 games, so maybe he just needs to get into it. But I mean, he said after he told me that the first few games were difficult, he also said the last two, I at least feel better. But yeah, we still lost those games, not scoring anything. So it's never easy. Hockey is life for us. You're always thinking about that. We just got to change our way and start winning games, especially got to start winning games at home. So it's tough. It's tough when, especially when it's a matter of offense,
Yeah.
and your number one offensive guy hasn't really been involved at all.
So I look at that and they wear the same number. Obviously, Mary Gavrikov was left shot, but I played with Mary Gabrick for a number of years, and I was so impressed with, yeah, he had a bunch of goals, and people thought he was this certain type of player. He got around the net a lot, especially if it wasn't going perfect for him. Now, these elite superstars are funny. I remember Gabby had 40 or 39 goals, and he came to practice one day with a new stick, new curve, new pattern, and he's like firing the puck off the glass left and right, and we're kind of looking at each other like, you're a goal away from 40. It's 4 games left in the season. Why are you changing your stick? You're having a hell of a year.
Yeah,
So you don't try to figure out these guys. You don't because you can't, and it'll drive you crazy because then they do things that you're just like, your jaw drops.
right.
I think Panarin is in a spot now where, in terms of evaluating him, you look at his legs and you look at if he's creating. That's what I would do. And in the last couple of games, it looks like that's coming back. He evaluates it in terms of points and goals, and that's just what he's always done. He's done it at this league to the highest level, top five in the last 5 years, I believe, in
Yep.
points and whatnot in production. So of course, what matters to him is tangible stats because that's what he's getting paid to do. For me, a game like Sam Carrick had last night, I'd be like, yeah, that was a good game. I know I got to bury one of those, or we got to score. But I'm like, I'm good. We're
Yeah.
we're we're doing our job. We're not expected to do this and that. We want to when we get the chance, but we're not. He is expected every game to score, pass, get an assist, score a goal, whatever it is. And it's not happening. It's not happening for anybody, but he's going to take on the brunt of that responsibility just because that's what drives him. So those quotes don't surprise me at all. And it also doesn't worry me at all because that's what he's demanded since he's come over from Russia and Chicago. Like that's just what he demands of himself.
Mm.
And he'll work himself out of that.
Yeah. I saw some people online wondering if it had anything to do with his lack of contract, but that's not a factor at all. I don't think that
No.
anybody's worried, especially Artemi, not worried about getting paid. He'll get paid, whether it's here or elsewhere. That's not
And
really
he's
a matter.
yeah, he's got all the money too. So
Yeah,
he'll make
that's
it.
doesn't need much more.
No.
No. Yeah, so bit of a mixed bag through the first 5 games, but I think there's a lot to like so far, especially when you're comparing the product to last season. And going back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, I truly believe that this is part of Mike Sullivan laying down the foundation that he wants
Hmm.
for this Rangers team. So we
I
shall
agree.
see.
100%.
Alrighty, seems like a good place for us to stop. Give us a thumbs up. Comment down below what your thoughts are on the Rangers' first 5 games. Are you concerned? Are you happy? Are you freaking out about going scoreless at home through the first 3 games? Let us know, and we'll talk again next week.